All right, everybody, we are back for another edition of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. I'm your host, Jonathan Howe, with my co-host, Travis Cunningham. Travis, how's it going?
Hi, Jonathan. Doing good as always. How about you?
I'm feeling pretty good after I've gotten over I've gotten over being sick, and I
Mm-hmm.
was back at the racetrack this weekend, which was a big deal for me. So very happy about that, and I'm looking forward to seeing another week of exciting racing at Merrittville and talking about some of the racing that we've had throughout the week here too. So, you want to start with maybe our local stuff? Let's talk about Merrittville first.
Yeah, Merrittville. Just watched it. Couldn't make it out Saturday, but just rewatched it on GeForce Lite, and definitely sounded good. First night back after feeling sick there, and there's definitely lots of good racing. And I saw the headlines on Saturday. It said caution filled. I didn't know how that was a good headline or anything. I thought that was a bit much, but then I saw all the cautions in the first two features, and it made sense.
Yeah, it was. I was surprised. So the modifieds, the 358s were pretty clean. I think they
Mm-hmm.
had one incident in the first 5 laps. It was,
Yep.
but yeah, like the mini stocks, we had a real heck of a time trying to get through them. Mod lights had their issues, and but for the most part, I think on a more positive side of the night, it was a good night to be a past champion. I mean, we had our track champion ceremony just before the start of racing
Mm-hmm.
on Saturday, and I think we had three at a. I guess it was probably just two actually reach victory lane. But if you were in the top three, at least in the standings last year, you probably were in victory lane
Mm-hmm.
this week. And in particular, I thought Cody McPherson put on a really good show.
Yeah. Started on the pole and he fell back a little bit, and then Rob Knapp had the lead early, and he was
Yeah.
looking good. But then Cody, it's like he just wanted to chill out and see what was going to happen, and then at the end turned it up and got by Knapp and pulled away from there.
Well, he talked about too in Victory Lane for anybody who hasn't seen it on GeForce. He talked about the idea that the car just didn't look right to him early on Saturday,
Hmm.
and basically almost just changed everything that you possibly could on that car before he got to the racetrack, and it definitely showed because he was fast all night long. And I don't want to say that's not a great sign this early into the field or into the season for the sportsman, but if McPherson is that fast already in the dirt car sportsman, it's going to be pretty tough to beat him, but I think I have the driver who's going to put up the biggest fight, and I want you to take a guess. Who do you think? Who do you think my championship contender will be at least right now?
I gotta guess JMF.
You got it right. I don't know if you noticed that drive he had after. I think he was involved, probably within the first 10 laps. He was involved in an incident, and he drove back up from the 12th, I think,
Yep.
up to inside the top five. Or it was an impressive run, and he's definitely got that outside line at Maryville working really well.
Yep. Definitely. Him and Cody so far got the two wins, and Cody, like he said in Victory Lane, he definitely looked off the first Saturday. I thought so, watching from the stands. Definitely didn't look like normal Cody McPherson, but after watching that video, he definitely cleared things up. So all those changes he made worked, and JMF's always fast too, and it was tough that he got. I didn't. The cameras didn't catch what really happened; just showed him backwards. But yeah, tough break for him there, but good recovery on the first points night.
Yeah, a little bit of contact, I'm pretty sure, was involved with that freeze. I don't think he went around on his own, if I remember correctly,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't
Yeah, that'd
remember
be rare.
the cars involved off by hand. But another guy who had a great night to start right after the sportsman, Gary Lindbergh. He put on a whooping on a Saturday night in the Core Pack 358 Modifieds at Merrittville.
Yeah, Gary definitely showed speed the week before as well, and this time the car was able to hold together for 35 laps, and that was a super clean modified race. I think, like you said, only the one caution for Woodsy there on the first couple of laps, and then it was green, two checkers after that, and Lindbergh definitely pulled away. Susie caught Pete Bicknell for a second about halfway through, and he took second there. Pete finished third, and I think Chevalier was fourth, and a lot of the same hitters as the week before up front in the mods.
Yeah, Susie and Bicknell put on a really good battle again this week, but unfortunately they were only battling for second. Lindbergh was just gone by a country mile. And the thing I've noticed about Gary in the last few years, and maybe you can maybe elaborate as a driver, but one of the things I think he does so well is that D-shaped back straightaway at Maryville. It almost seems like he never actually gets the car pointed straight to me. It's almost like he comes off the corner pointed to the left a little bit, and it sets him up for like such a fast run into 3 and 4. And I don't know. I'm not sure that there's anybody who does it quite as well as Lindbergh, and I think that's where he gets a lot of speed at the racetrack.
Yeah, that is the trick. Definitely at Merrittville is to not straighten out the backstretch and just keep turning. Most nights Gary really does a good job on the high side, but last week he was sticking the middle like there was no tomorrow. Definitely noticed that. Definitely lots of bite dialed into that 37, and he could just kind of float the middle and not even take the far line around the outside. He could just cut the time down as well, and it was sticking just as good in the middle.
Yeah, and the thing about running the middle, and that's something that kind of almost got the best of Gary, is that when you're in the middle, it almost gets a little bit harder to try to pick your way around lap traffic. And we saw, I think it was Dylan Davidson, he made a little bit of contact with at one point going through 3 and 4. He mentioned that in Victory Lane, trying to get around lap traffic and dealing with that. And I guess from the driver's standpoint, both as a driver who's either trying to lap traffic or somebody who is potentially going to go a lap down, how hard is it to really negotiate, those lead cars or going around those lap cars as a driver without, the aid of a spotter like the big boys have, or the openness of an open wheel car, or something like IndyCar or F1, where you got your mirrors and you
Hmm.
can actually kind of look around you and see.
Yeah, it's definitely really hard. We're all definitely out there all alone. Sometimes you can see a blue flag from a starter, but not every time. If you're getting lapped, and as far as doing the lapping, that can be just as definitely even harder because the lappers don't know you're there half the time, and they're still lots of times racing for position as well. So they're darting in and out a little bit. You don't really know where they're going to go. And yeah, Gary got into Dylan a little bit there, and just looked like Dylan slid up a little bit, and Gary didn't see him coming. No harm, no foul, and that was it. Carried on.
And Lindbergh, he also made an appearance down at Bridgeport
Hmm.
this week in the Super Dirt Car Series, King of the Big Blocks. There's a couple other local names, of course. Stuart Friesen, he ended up second in the race. Matt Williamson finished fourth. And you were saying it was a pretty good race, eh?
Yeah, definitely an awesome race up front between Ryan Godown and Billy Pouch Jr. They were slide jobbing each other back and forth, and Stu even took a couple cracks. At Godown, once he got up there, Matt went 11th to 4th. He definitely just had to use all 75 laps to climb up to 4th. Did a good job to crack into the top 5. And Gary, yeah, was 16th, still figuring out the new car he's got rolling there for the Super Dirt Car Series. I think the Kendricks own that thing. I know they debuted it late last year, and yeah, still working the bugs out on the 28 for Lindbergh.
And even still, for Gary, it was a three-place improvement from where he started. So to be working out the bugs and still picking up a few spots here and there, that's a good sign, I think, for later in the season, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Definitely, he definitely doesn't have as much experience as the other guys, but he's got lots of good runs as well. And I think that was probably his first time at Bridgeport, and it's definitely a super high banked, fast, definitely different than a lot of the other tracks around. So definitely probably took some time to get accustomed to that as well.
And points as of May 3rd as well. Stuart Friesen sitting second in the standings, 4 points behind the leader. Maddie's sitting 9 points back in fifth spot. So it'll be definitely interesting to keep an eye on those guys as they progress through the Super Dirt Car season.
Hmm.
A little earlier in the show, we mentioned Ryan Susice, who's going to be on the pole at Ransomville on Friday as they get ready to start their season.
Yep.
Pretty cool for Susie, who's also going to be a guest coming up on the show.
Yeah, he's going to be our second guest and finished second both times at Maryville. Picked up the pole at Ransomville. They go off this Friday for their opener, and Susie's definitely going to want to lead every lap and pick up his first win of the year. He's running a different car over there. It's the 38. I forget what the sponsor is on it, 87 something, but just not the slack car like he runs over here. And then last week he had the 38 RS, whereas the week before he was in the 3 RS up here. So definitely a lot of rides at Ryan's disposal.
Yeah, he's definitely jumping around, swapping seats a little bit. How long do you think it takes Ryan to break back into victory lane at Merrittville?
Oh, it's definitely coming. I'm guessing within the next couple weeks. Uh, Not sure if he's going to be running the 3RS or the 38 this week, but I know Bobby Slack will have that thing tuned up, and Ryan will crack victory lane. I say within the month.
And speaking of slacks, one more thing that we can touch on is down at Fulton, got a slack car with Billy Decker.
Yeah, that was the first time they teamed up. I believe it was a brand new car. It was the first 358 Super Dirt Car Series event of the year down at Fulton. 45 cars showed up, and yeah, he quick timed in the time trial, won his heat, and led all 60 laps in the feature. So definitely put Billy Decker with Bobby Slack as the crew chief, and definitely a winning combo as they showed, as he's already won with Tim Fuller and who else was been in that thing? Susie, Billy Dunn. So many guys have driven that thing. Even Matt Shepard drove it once, I think. I think Shepard's drove it once and won once. So yeah, always got lots of hot shoes in that thing, and definitely didn't surprise me to see Billy Decker in victory lane in that thing. And the other one I was thinking of is Danny O'Brien, as they just won last year at Brighton for the Upfest Shootout.
Yeah, it's gonna be. We're into May now too, so the dirt car season is picking up
Mm-hmm.
across a lot of different tracks. I know Merrittville's kind of the first to the punch, but we're gonna be back at Humberstone very soon. We're gonna see some racing down at Osh
Yep.
Weekend, Ransomville starting up. So it is gonna be a busy, busy month in the world of dirt racing, and it's gonna be a lot of fun to dive into it. And for me, get exposed to a lot of new tracks because besides kind of the three closest to closest to the border here, I haven't really gotten a chance to watch too much racing from them.
Yep. Yeah, we're really spoiled in this area, if you ask me. Lots of beautiful tracks around. Oshweekend was supposed to open this Friday for practice, but the next two Fridays got pushed back. Their practice is going to be now May 17th, I believe, on a Tuesday, and then they open up that Friday. And then Humberstone is going to have two practices next week, and then the week after that, same May 2-4 weekend, they open up on the Sunday night. And yeah, can't when the season's in full swing and you can go to the races 3 nights in a row. That's my favorite time of year.
It's going to be a great time of year. Ryan Susice coming up next on the show. All right, the Southern Ontario Dirt Show is trackside. Jonathon Howe here, Travis Cunningham, and we're catching up with Ryan Susice. How's it going, Ryan?
So far, so good. Hopefully we'll do a little better tonight and not have to tow our car off the racetrack and put this thing in victory lane.
So you're at Merrittville Speedway. You're the second interview of the show. You've been second twice here already this season, and you've been fast at Ransomville. You qualified on pole. What are you feeling you need to just break through and finally get that W here at Merrittville in particular?
Drawing better than 99 is going to help. 2 weeks in a row we were 99 and 100, and this week we're 24, so we'll have a better starting spot. Hopefully we can get make the thing in the redraw and get a good redraw spot. And track position is everything. There's 5 or 6 really, really fast cars that run here weekly, and once you get out, kind of get strung out, it's hard to pass. So with all the left side and short rod stuff that we're doing now, it seems like everybody's hooked up a lot more. So track position's key. Obviously, Maddie's here tonight, so I think everybody's going to have to step their game up, and we all know that. So, we went back to the drawing board a little bit on this car, kind of morphed some stuff that I learned last night in our own car, and hopefully we can put this Randy Slack transport sales and service, like I said, in victory lane.
All right, Ryan, you touched there on the left-hand panhard bar and the coils now. Just tell us a little bit about the different driving styles you have to do. I've noticed in the stands just last week, or the first night I was in the stands, first time in a while that I was able to just really watch those cars dig the way they do. Just tell us if you have to change your driving style a little bit, because it definitely seems like they have a heck of a lot more bite, especially like rolling the middle through the black and stuff.
Yeah, back in the day we used to be off the throttle a lot on entry and a lot through the corner. Now you really can't do that. You got to keep the car. We call it up an attitude or posture. The late model guys call it. You really need to keep that car in that position to keep it turning and then driving. You have a mechanical advantage on the left rear. Radius rod, just the angle of it is so steep that you have mechanical grip built into the car when you keep it like that. So it's one of the things that a lot of guys are struggling to learn to adapt. Thankfully, during COVID, we were able to get out and race a lot of different places and in different cars and kind of learn to adapt to that driving style. There's guys that are better than others, and it's plain and simple. That's one of the reasons why Matt Williamson wins a lot of races, and Stu Friesen and Matt Shepard. Those guys really know how to trail brake the car and not get themselves upset. It definitely shows. That's why I think a lot of people think it's all equipment that makes those guys so much better, but it's really not. It's their driving style that they've been able to adapt to all this new technology.
That's a really good explanation there, Ryan. Talk about your role at BRP USA. I don't know if a lot of people know that you work there. I know you run the Shock Dyno and probably the Spring Smasher for sure. Tell us what you do day to day up there and how that goes for you.
Generally, I just take the trash out and clean the toilets. Get a lot of emails from Pete about what we need to do better, but no, I'm just kidding. Mostly, actually, majority of my job is actually in sales. I'm on the phone, whether making sales or technical support. Me and Tim Jones do a lot of shocks out of the U.S. side now. Teddy Curvin at the Canadian side on the factory kind of got us helped us get set up, and we work together to get the American customers their shocks turned around quick. So I wouldn't say that's half of my job. My job is generally more sales and stuff right now, but especially during the off season when it gets to March and we really started getting a lot of shocks and a lot of my time spent in there. But it definitely helps my program because, I get to talk to a lot of different guys and not only give them some of my own input, but also get input from them to, kind of see what they're feeling and what they like. So definitely think it's stepped up our game.
Yeah, I work there as well, so we're buddies at work. On the Canadian side, I've been loving it since I went there in the fabrication side, so it's definitely cool that you work there too, and that was good to get that question in. Jonathan?
Well, I wanted to touch base on maybe another role you've got right now on the go-kart side over at Ransomville, and this is the first year you're race directing down there, correct?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm quite ready to jump 2 feet into this deal yet, but I'm excited to get going. We had a little bit of a practice last Sunday with the novice kids to really just kind of learn the basics, stop and go, and listen to the flagger and the radio and stuff. So it was kind of cool. We had the first group out, did really great, and the second group kind of struggled. But they're new 5-6-year-old kids kind of learning life, let alone getting in, strapping a helmet on. So it's going to be fun. Hopefully I can handle the pressure of some of the adults because I think that's going to be a lot worse than the kids. But ultimately, it's to teach the future of our sport. The reason why guys like me and Travis stayed in it for 30 years. So hopefully I can do a good job. And I got great people. Greg Martin, one of my best friends, he's a flagger. So between me and him, we got about 60 years of racing between the two of us, and hopefully we can pass down some of what we've learned over the years to the younger generation and get them interested.
And talking about that younger generation, if there is one piece of advice that you could hand to any, maybe early teen or late teenager, early 20-year-old driver who's getting into the dirt racing world, what's one thing you would tell them?
Stay in school. No, just more than anything that. I think the harder you work, generally the better the outcome. You see the guys that are successful in the sport, the Friesens, the Shepherds, the Williamsons. Those are the guys that outwork everybody. And plain and simple, it doesn't matter if it's a go-kart or a modified. The people that put in the effort are the ones that are generally successful. And some people aren't willing to put in that time, and that's fine. Everybody races for a different reason. If you want to win and you want to be really successful, you have to put the time in. We all love to race, but more than anything, I think everybody wants to win, and that's really what it comes down to. And having a boatload of money, but that's.
I'll stay on the go-kart side, Ryan. Just one easy question, I guess. I've seen you come up here, used to come up here, and you were number 88 back then. And then I'm pretty sure your first street stock, did you switch to 38? What took over the switch from the 88 on the go-kart and then now the 38 in the big car?
So when I started racing street stocks, there was another 88 at Ransomville. So my dad's number was 38, which is kind of how we ended up with 88 in the go-karts. And when we switched in the street stocks, we just never went back.
Yeah, one other little thing I got to come clean on. Back in the day, there was, I think it was end of the year point show, and you were racing against one of my crew guys. And I'm not going to lie, we hogged the restrictor plate out and we beat you the only time of the year. And my buddy Steve still talks about that like it's the best thing that ever happened to him. So sorry I had to come clean like Dale Jr. Steve Zelznak, the other 88, 88S. So sorry about that.
We're talking with Ryan Susice here, and we would say driver of the 38 RS, but you're in a bunch of rides this year too. So what else do you have planned come maybe down the line that race fans can see you in?
So Ransomville on Fridays, that's actually our own car, number 38. The motor in it's owned by Randy Slack. That's why you'll see transport sales and service and everything all over it. Randy and Bob and their whole family are just huge supporters of our deal. It's been a lot of fun learning, getting to know these guys over the last 5 years, and thankfully they still trust me to sit in the race car from time to time. This car here is owned by Randy. It's an older car, but it's got brand new W16 in it and all good stuff, so we'll be here on Saturdays. And I also got a car in our shop owned by Patrick Hoops that we ran at some of the short track Super Series stuff last year. We mainly ran it at Woodhall and Outlaw and stuff because we couldn't get across the bridge here. So this year it's a little different. We're not probably going to be dabbling in too much of that other than we want to hit like some of the bigger shows. I know Fonda's got one in Utica, Rome right around 4th of July, and then Fonda 200 in Port Royal is kind of our plan. But Patrick might be in it a time or two. We might get it ready for him at Ransomville and a couple coming up, and then might be back in the 3RS a few times this year. At the moment, we're talking about Ransomville. There's a big block tour race in August, and then one other big block show at Ransomville. And then whenever Randy, decides that either Danny's not driving or they're not going out somewhere else and they want to run their car here, kind of just up in the air. It's a really good problem to have. Unfortunately, there's just the older I get, it's harder to make the time to do it right, and that's one of the things about this day and age. You really have to put the time in, not only on the tires and the shocks and the spring combos, and it's a lot of work to be successful at it. You really got to put the time, and the older I get, I guess it's kind of getting a little tougher. So hopefully we can make as much time as possible this year and race as much as we can.
All right, this is the final question, and we'll let you go on this. I'm giving you one car, any car that you want to drive, one racetrack across the world. Doesn't have to be dirt, can be whatever you want. Where do you want to drive, and what do you want to drive?
I'm just going to go, I'll say the 3RS at Oswego in the Big Block Show. We'll just end it at that. We had a great time last year, last time we did it, and maybe that'll happen again. I've been very fortunate to run sprint cars, midgets, all sorts of different stuff, and I have had a lot of fun over the years. Sprint cars are fun to drive. I'm getting older. I don't know if I've lost some of the necessities to drive a sprint car fast or what, but I don't know if that portion of my career is over with. I'm really enjoying the modifieds. I'll drive anything anywhere still, but hopefully it's the 3RS at Oswego.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ryan. Thanks, and good luck tonight.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
That was Ryan Susice, who piloted the Young Drivers of Canada Transport Sales and Service 38 RS to yet another second-place finish at Merrittville Speedway on May 7th after the interview. The Core Pack Merchandising 358 Modified feature was also very special for driver Shayne Pierce and some of our Merrittville Reunion Committee members, as Shayne honored the late Mikey Granton. All right, everybody, it's Jonathon and Travis Cunningham at trackside at Merrittville Speedway, conducting some interviews ahead of a big show, Loop Paint Night, here on a Saturday night, May 7th. And we got a special car that's going to be a part of the modified feature tonight. And to talk about it, I've got Rick Kavanagh from the Merrittville Reunion Committee and, of course, Shayne Pierce, the pilot of the car. So, Rick, I'm going to start with you. I want to hear, first of all, what's going on in the world of the Reunion Committee, because this is a big month for you guys, and there's going to be some nominations by the end of the month, correct?
Right. Yeah, we originally came up with an update to our nomination process, and we have extended the deadline to I believe the 28th of May, and that will still allow some people to send in their nominations to our email address. But it gives everyone an opportunity to give us a chance to take a look at written nominations so that we can consider them year after year. After this process this year, it will be 1 year, so people will have from May the 1st till April 30th every year to submit a nomination. We wanted more detail from people since we were opening it up, and we've had good response, but what we saw is people needed a little more time to complete what we were asking for. So yeah, we had a real successful 70th on a short season, and we're now entering the 71st to 75th era. And I see Tim Bredman actually got our logo updated on the champions plaque, so that helps kick it off. But this situation tonight actually was interesting, because I saw a picture last night and this morning with Shayne Pierce was showing a roof of a car and Mike Granton's name on it. And so I started messaging him, said, what have you done? Would you be interested in bringing it over? And we lost Mikey Granton, and Mike was on the Wall of Fame a number of years ago. And Mike was one of the guys we really thought of beyond a driver and a car owner and a builder, that he was a mentor. And he became that after he came back from the Carolinas working in NASCAR, with NASCAR teams, and brought his knowledge back here and started building Camaros, and really launched this the success in the Hoosier stock division for first Tyler and Tyler Willard now, but and also Cody McPherson, amongst others. And I know Shayne, he meant a lot to Shayne, or Shayne obviously went the next step. But Bill Willard's on our committee as well, and I'll let Bill fill you in a little bit more, because he'll know the nuts and bolts and how this scheme came along. But it goes back to the early 70s when Terry Edwards and Mikey were hooked up here. And then, but for the rest of it, it absolutely fits our criteria, and we're really happy that Shayne did this. And it's the right time to do it for someone like Mike. Mike passed away about a month ago, so tonight's the night, and it just feels right.
So, Bill, tell us a little bit more about this particular scheme.
Yeah, this scheme, let's go back. I was probably the biggest Terry Edwards fan growing up, and this would have been about 1972. In 1971, Terry had built a car, brand new car for Langhorne Asphalt, and went there and ended up blowing a brand new motor up there. And so they come home and there was a car sitting, and he had his car that he was running down the road. And so they thought, well, let's shorten this car up, the wheelbase, and let's make it for Mikey. So that's how they end up with the same color scheme as the 51 as Terry's. He was down at the wheels, and Canandaigua were running, and Waterloo, and Mikey was here at home running. So they were winning both sides of the border.
Very nice. I'm going to hand it off to Travis because I see Shayne is wearing a Toronto Maple Leafs shirt, so I feel like only a Toronto Maple Leafs fan is right to interview and talk right now. You guys are all in your own little world right now.
All right, Shayne, just tell us about how awesome it is for you to run this scheme tonight. I know you were super close with Mike, one of the greatest guys in the pits. If you ask me, just tell us how special it is for you.
It's very special. It means a lot. Mikey took me under his wing in 2009, and we drove his Camaro, and we won the championship on Ush weekend. We ended up second here in points at Merrittville. But not only was he a mentor, he became a friend, and he was over all the time. We just talk about stories and races and everything. The stories were endless with Mike, and it truly means a lot to have this scheme on the car, and it's very unfortunate we lost him when we did.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. We were talking right, I think the day after it happened or whatever, about his win at Ransomville there, his biggest win. So why don't you just tell us a quick story there about what happened there and what he said to Will Cagle afterwards, after Will had a little snide comment for Mike.
So Mike won the Syracuse qualifier at Merrittville Speedway, pretty big deal. And after the race was over, Will Cagle actually walked down and said, "You better go tell them you're a lap down. They're about to pay you." And Mike come back with his one-liners that he always comes back with. "I had you in my gun sights all night." And that was just that's the definition of Mikey, the one-liners and the smirk. I could only picture it on his face after.
Yeah, when I started, I was a little late to the party, so I only knew Mike as the crew chief on the street stock for Cody and Tyler and you and all that. And then after hearing all these stories, I never even knew you went to North Carolina and all that crazy awesome stuff that Mike did. And it's just super cool for you to honor Mike here tonight with this awesome paint job on the 88. Just tell us how your season's been going so far in this 88 car.
So far, it's been early season gremlins. We've been okay. We've had lots of speed, top 5 speed, even faster than that some nights. Just wrong place, the wrong time a couple times, and that's the way it goes sometimes in racing. But we've got lots of speed behind this car. This Outlaw car has been really fast, and we're there now. We've dialed in really good, and we're going to put on a show here tonight and make Mikey really proud.
I'm sure you will. I definitely noticed you've been quicker. Definitely at the end of last year, had it rolling pretty good. So I'm sure it's just there behind you. Going to be up front real soon. Definitely looks like a Shayne Pierce track tonight. Got a little water on it. You definitely feeling a little ready to go tonight?
Yeah, we're good. We've been thinking about this one, and track conditions look like they're in my favor tonight, and hopefully they even put a little bit more water on it for us.
All right. Thanks, Shayne, for running this awesome scheme and telling us about your season so far. And going to pass it back to Jonathan.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you for joining us. And this is going to be a very, very special night, very special car. And if you want to see what we're talking about, we're going to have an image of this beautiful car up on our social feeds at Southern Ontario Dirt Show on Instagram, Twitter, and the rest. And the checkered is out on another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe for future episodes. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Southern Ontario Dirt Show. Have a question for the show? Email us, southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting local racing in Southern Ontario, and we'll see you at the track.